A man stood outside his house moments after burying his beloved wife. He shook hands. He accepted condolences. He cried. He thought his dark secret was buried 6 feet under, halfway across the world. But as the last mourners were leaving, a car pulled up. The door opened, and the woman he had just buried stepped out, alive. This isn't a movie. This is the only recorded case in history where a murder victim crashed her own funeral to confront her killer. And the way she did, it is even crazier than you think. To understand the resurrection, you have to understand the deception. Nola Rukundo and Belinga Kalala looked like the ultimate survival story. They were both refugees fleeing violence in Africa, her from Burundi, him from the Congo. They found safety in Melbourne, Australia. They built a life that looked perfect on paper. 8 children, a suburban home, a decade of marriage. Belinga was a pillar of the community, hardworking, respected, a devoted father. But Nola didn't know that she was sleeping next to a stranger. While she saw a partnership, he saw a problem. While she was planning their future, he was quietly shopping for a solution to end it. The opportunity arrived in early 2015. Nola received tragic news. Her stepmother had passed away back in Burundi. She had to fly home for the funeral. Belinga was incredibly supportive. He insisted she go. He transferred her money. He promised to watch the kids. It seemed like the act of a loving husband. In reality, he wasn't sending her on a trip. He was shipping her to a slaughterhouse. Nola landed in Bujumbura. She attended her stepmother's funeral. It was emotionally draining. Afterwards, she retreated to her hotel room to collapse. She was exhausted and vulnerable. That's when her phone rang. It was Belinga calling from Australia. His voice was warm, gentle. "How are you, my love?" he asked. "It's so hot in there. You shouldn't stay in the room. Go outside for some fresh air." It sounded like concern, but it was coordination. Nola took his advice. She walked out of the hotel gates into the warm African night. She took 3 steps into the darkness, and a gun was pressed into her ribs. A hand covered her mouth. She was shoved into a waiting vehicle. It happened in seconds. She was blindfolded, terrified. For nearly an hour, the car drove deep into the slums of the city. Nola was praying. She assumed these were kidnappers looking for a ransom. She thought, "I have money, I have a phone, they can take it all." But when the car stopped and she was tied to a chair in an abandoned building, the leader of the gang didn't ask for her bank account. He asked a question that froze her blood. "What did you do to this man to make him hate you so much?" Nola was confused. "What man?" she cried. The gang leader laughed. He pulled out a phone. He dialed a number and put it on speaker so everyone in the room could hear. The line connected. A voice answered. A voice Nola had woken up to for 10 years. It was Belinga. The hitman spoke. "We have her." And from thousands of miles away in Australia, her husband replied, "Kill her." At that moment, Nola said her fear vanished. It was replaced by something colder, pure shock. She screamed at the phone, but Belinga couldn't hear her or didn't care. He hung up. She waited for the bullet, but it never came. Here is where the story pivots. These weren't noble men. They were career criminals, but they operated on a specific code. The gang leader looked at Nola. He knew her brother from years ago. And more importantly, their gang had a strict rule. They did not kill women or children. It wasn't about morality, it was about their own internal law. To them, Belinga was the dirty one. The leader told her, "We're not going to kill you, but we're going to keep his money. He paid us $7,000. We will tell him it is done." For 2 days, Nola sat in that room, not as a prisoner, but as a witness. The hitman handed her the ultimate weapon, the memory card from the phone with the recorded conversations and the Western Union receipts for the payment. They drove her to the airport. They told her, "Go home and destroy him." But the most unbelievable part of this story wasn't the betrayal. It was what she did next. While Nola was flying back to Australia, Belinga was putting on the performance of a lifetime. He told their friends there had been a tragic accident. He told their children their mother wasn't coming home. He accepted donations from the community. He played the grieving widower perfectly. He even organized a memorial service to celebrate her life. Nola landed in Melbourne, but she didn't go home. Not yet. She called the pastor of her church. When he heard her voice, he thought he was losing his mind. She explained everything. He agreed to hide her. For 5 days, Nola waited in the shadows. She watched Belinga's updates. She watched him cry crocodile tears. She waited for the exact right moment to strike. She chose February 22, 2015, the day of her own funeral. The service was over, the guests had left. Belinga was standing outside their home, waving goodbye to the last car. He looked relieved. The deed was done. He was free. Then a final car rolled up the driveway. Nola waited until he was looking right at it. She opened the door. She stepped out. Belinga froze. His hands went to his head. He began to tremble. He literally slapped his own face, thinking he was dreaming. He whispered, "Is it a ghost?" He walked toward her, terrified to touch her. When his hand made contact with her shoulder, he realized the impossible truth. He screamed, "Nola, is it you?" She looked him in the eyes of the man who paid $7,000 for her life, and delivered the line of the century, "Surprise, I'm still alive." Belinga immediately broke down. He claimed it was the devil who made him do it. He begged for forgiveness. Nola didn't argue. She just dialed 000. When the police arrived, Belinga tried to deny it. But he didn't know about the souvenir Nola brought back from Africa. She handed the detectives the recordings and the receipts. It was an open and shut case. Belinga Kalala was sentenced to 9 years in prison for incitement to murder. Nola Rukundo didn't just survive. She rewrote the ending of a story that was already paid for. The man who tried to erase her will spend a decade remembering the moment his ghost came back to haunt him. If you want more unbelievable true stories like this, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'll see you in the next one.